It is Thursday, June 17th, and today we should also talk about how much stronger women are than men and how much better at being sick. Kelly's a little under the weather, and if I was in your shoes, I'd be on a gurney asking for IVs. How you doing, Kel?
I'm doing great. It's okay. It's just a little cold. And you know what? It's Friday Eve. School's out for summer. It would be much worse if it was the dead of January. So let's do this.
You're tougher than I am. Here we go.
Live from DC. Broadcasting around the Beltway and beyond, it's Tommy and Kelly made in DC on the Real Fun DC channel and on demand anytime, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Really huge news expected later on today. President Joe Biden to sign into law Juneteenth becoming the 11th federal holiday in the United States. This passed the House last night with a vote of 415 to 14 voting against Juneteenth being a federal holiday. This is incredible. So it passed the Senate earlier this week, and now that President Biden's back from Russia, or from Geneva, Switzerland, they're like, hey, here's a new federal holiday we need you to sign. Of course, Juneteenth is a celebration of the end of slavery, the final end of slavery in the United States, when a Union general in 1865 proclaimed slavery was no longer a thing in Texas. This is actually 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation.
And I love that we're having this dialogue now because a lot of people didn't know this holiday, and it's been over the last years. A lot of people are doing their diligence and starting great conversations that this is, just think about how far we've come in just 1 year and still so much work to be done. But it's super exciting that just kind of like sailed through Congress. I mean, it's probably the quickest thing. Like, it was in the Senate and then the next day in the House, and then it's sitting on Joe Biden's desk and he's expected to sign today.
Literally, that's how a bill becomes a law. That's what they meant with the Schoolhouse Rock, people. This is how it works. So 47 states, many cities, DC had already marked and celebrated Juneteenth, but now federal holiday, making it the 11th federal holiday that's going to be happening. So incredible how this has all come together. And Juneteenth will end up being on Saturday this year.
But a lot of businesses you're going to find tomorrow on Friday are closing down and celebrating and observing it on the day before for the work week.
And Kelly, you mentioned about people doing a lot of work over the last year. So much more work to be done. Over the last year, I've become friends with an incredible woman named Malik, and she has a blog and a website, and she's on TikTok and Instagram, so worth the follow, called Feed the Malik. And she's been, since she started online, working to promote and shine a light on Black-owned and led restaurants, specifically in the DC area. She's branched out since then, but she and her friends have been working on a project for like the last year, and it's rolling out this week as well. It's a guide to Black-owned restaurants. And it's not just like, here's some of our faves. They've put like data, research, spreadsheets, maps, recommendations, photos, so much work into this guide of more than 100 Black-owned and led restaurants. And I got a chance to speak with her a little earlier this week in preparation for this. Want you to hear from her and her own words about this guide. And also, if you're listening live or maybe you're listening later and you haven't had breakfast yet, I'm sorry, you're going to get hungry. That's just how it is. But you have to go to feedthemalik.com to get the guide. And it's all absolutely free, by the way. She made it available as a public service. So check it out.
I have been working in the local food space as a blogger, writer, and influencer for the last year. And I realized very early on that a lot of the major guides and publications didn't cover or didn't include Black-owned or led businesses. So I roped in some friends as volunteers and we did an analysis. And we found that of 380 plus recommendations in things like the Eater 38 and other guides, right? It's all papers. Only a small handful were Black-owned or Black-led. And so that made me realize that we really had a narrow view of the local food space. And as we know, DC has a thriving Black food scene. So I wanted to celebrate that.
Talk us through how you came up with the guide, the data that went into it and the research that went into it versus your friends just being like, I love these burgers at this place.
So I did have my friends volunteer. We made a spreadsheet. We called around. We looked up whatever public records we could about ownership. And I personally dined at hundreds of Black-owned and Black-led restaurants and food businesses throughout the DC area for over a year. I took notes on them. I took original photography.
Are you seeing this as not a best of, but a here's what's out there?
Yes, absolutely. And I always say that best of lists are misleading because best is subjective and every single person's experience and taste buds are going to be different. But this is what I would call a starting point. If you are looking to support Black-owned restaurants in DC, or you just want to try something new that maybe isn't represented in other guides, this is a starting point.
As you were going through this process, were there restaurants that you left off for whatever reason?
Absolutely. And, I won't name names, and I have a policy of not doing that on my account either. But the places on the guide are all spots that I have dined at again and again because I found myself being drawn back to them.
What do you hope comes out of this from the legacy food publications? Do you hope that they do better? Or is this a call to do that? Or are you just saying, like, I've got my own thing, you can check those out, but also there's this option over here?
I don't know. I don't know what I would want them to do because I do think that we can all, myself included, always be striving to do better and be more inclusive in our coverage. But, I'm also here creating this kind of project in this lane for myself. And it's not just me. There are so many other independent writers, creators, videographers, et cetera, who are doing that now. And I think that just speaks to the fact that there is room for so many perspectives, not just in food media, but in all types of media.
And now Malik, Feed the Malik. Check it out, feedthemalik.com. The guide is wonderful. You have such incredible stories. I've learned so much from you over these last couple months that we've become friends. So thank you for this really thoughtful project. And I hope you bought your friends all kinds of food for their volunteer time.
Just a little.
You can go to feedthemalik.com, FeedTheMalik.com.
I'm so glad that she had friends to do that because my next follow-up question would be like, you're eating at all these amazing places. How do you stay in shape?
So she got a Peloton, and also her husband is like I don't know if it's fair to call him a world-class cyclist, but he's a damn good cyclist. He travels and does these like cyclist races. And so they're a very food friendly, but also a very active couple. And I love watching them and watching their stories.
That's very cool. I can't wait to check that out. Okay, let's talk about the puppy. The OG of puppies in DC, Captain, of course, the Capitals puppy that we remember, Ovechkin walking down the red carpet and holding that puppy right after, they kicked off their season after the Stanley Cup.
He licked the microphone.
I mean,
all the things.
He is just everything. Well, he's all grown up now and he's ready to be placed with a family. And yesterday they announced who that family was. This is really excited. It's retired U.S. Marine Corps Master Sergeant Mark. They posted it up on Captain's Twitter yesterday, or Captain posted it up on his Twitter, I should say. And he suffers from PTSD and seizures. And Captain says, I'll be right by his side to help him get through it. I've been training all my life for this moment.
That's amazing.
And it's so cute. And they posted a little photo of them. It looks like they're at MedStar complex there with the puppy in a jersey, and then of course the Master Sergeant there. So how cute is that?
We've always known from the beginning that CapsPup was going to go on to do great things, and now it's so cool to see the personification of who he's going to help, and it's just awesome work that organization does.
For sure.
Way to go, Captain. Also, I hope Captain still has his Twitter.
Well, I don't know. He may be really busy. He's got a big job in front of him.
That's true. But if anyone can handle multitasking of being a companion animal and a service dog and a social media star, it's certainly CapsPup.
Yes. Now, Tommy, I feel like we have been talking about the cicadas. We talked about like when the cicadas were coming. We talked about all the things, and every day it seemed like we had a new angle on the cicadas, and we haven't talked about them the last couple days.
That's very true. They were seen on radar. They stopped a plane. They've done a lot of things. They've caused obstructions in dogs' stomachs to have to get surgery. The cicadas have been very busy, but now they might be on their way out of town.
Yes, and don't forget the chocolate-covered cicadas as well.
Oh, yes, the chocolate-covered cicadas. My favorite.
Yeah, so they're going to start to disappear over the next week. I've certainly noticed it in my neighborhood. Like I haven't really heard them, that soothing chirping sound that I've really come to love. It is the end of the season, and now this is what we can expect the next round. The quiet goes down, the males start to, move on to the next cycle of their lives and decompose in their trees and fall.
Oh, perfect.
So we are going to see a little bit of that in the coming weeks. And then it takes about 6 weeks for the eggs to kind of drop and go into the ground. But they're so microscopic that apparently we won't see that.
Oh.
Starting the cycle all over again.
So are we going to see just like exoskeletons falling to the ground everywhere?
Not the exoskeletons, the actual like cicadas just going boop, like, yeah. So
Okay.
I just cleaned out the hood of my car so I can expect to do another round as they start to fall because I got a lot of trees in my neighborhood. So we'll see you in 2038.
Yeah. Peace out, cicadas. It's been real fun.
Yeah.
Although I do feel like the rains we had the last couple days, that like crazy storm probably pushed away a lot of the pushed the word down to the drain.
Yeah, I think some of them. And I was worried about that too. And then the very next day, I heard them still chirping.
Oh.
They have like incredible footing on the trees. Like rain will not stop them.
They're like, we're still here.
Yep.
Just wanted to let you know, in case you were wondering.
Totally. So it's been fun. We'll miss you when you're gone. We won't know how good we had it while you're here.
Imagine being a nonprofit. Every single day, you're like working to make the world a better place in whatever lane you're trying to make the world a better place. Then the phone rings one day. Maybe it's an email. Maybe it's a DM. And the message is, hey, Mackenzie Scott, formerly Mackenzie Bezos, would like to give you a truckload of money. Do you even believe that that's a thing? Like when you get that call or you first get that information, it must be completely mind-blowing to a nonprofit.
Totally. And a couple days ago, we learned that she gave away almost $3 billion to almost 300 nonprofits around the country. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait for someone else to do the homework and figure out if there's any in DC. And someone did.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Washingtonian. There are, let's see here, 38 organizations in the DC area that got money from this amazing philanthropist. And it's really cool because a lot of them are not, I didn't know a lot of them. Not to say that I know every nonprofit organization, but we do a lot of charity work. So I just imagine some of these being a little bit smaller and a little bit more focused in their work, having this game-changing check arrive.
Yeah, that was the thing. When Washingtonian posted this article, I'm with you on this same thing, Kelly. I thought I knew not all of them, but we know a lot of nonprofits and great organizations in DC, but I was hard-pressed to find one on this list that I knew, which is awesome, right? Because you got to imagine she's got a team around her that's vetted these, and so these are now 38 more organizations we should be paying attention to and learning about. Yeah. I love it.
It's incredible. And they kind of range from equality issues, working with children. I mean, there's an organization there that works with the Native Americans. Like it is just, I mean, it's kind of incredible. So if you do the quick math, this is over 10% of the charities are in the DC area. And of course,
wow.
Her last round, she gave $40 million to Howard University.
Yep.
So, do appreciate what she's doing, in our backyard and of course around the world.
Totally awesome. Everything from like AAPI to African Americans to Latinx to gay to children to faith to organizations that make organizations boards more strong. Like it has everything in this list.
And we were just imagining, like, if you were on her staff and she was like, okay, here's our to-do list for the next quarter. I've got $3 billion to give and I want to find these organizations. Here's the checklist that they have to do. Go find them.
Best job in the world.
Totally.
I think second gentleman is the best job in the world, but like the second best job in the world would be able to do that.
So great. So great. So I'm sure we're going to hear more and more from these organizations. I have seen some videos go viral, not here in DC, but organizations talking about when they got the phone call that they were getting a check from her. And again, with these smaller organizations that don't have that big fundraising arm, it's got to be game changing.
Totally. Way to go. Way to go. And I feel like this is probably not Mackenzie Scott's last hurrah.
Yeah, no.
I do wonder though, Kelly, as our chief divorce correspondent, this is happening at a time when her ex is like, I'm going to blast myself into space. And also like Prime Day, I think is in 3 or 4 days. So I always do wonder with like the timing of this kind of stuff.
And well, I'm sure she has an army of people to figure that out too.
Totally. I don't think it's a coinky dink that right around Prime Day, she's giving away $3 billion.
It's good business.
Also, can you call it $3 billion? If it's 2.7, I mean, you're technically rounding up, but that's also $300 million. It's off of the difference between $3 billion and $2.7 billion.
I know, but I feel like she's going to give away more. So I feel like we're okay rounding up.
She'll get there. All right.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Mackenzie Scott, we're saying $3 billion we believe you that you're going to give away 300 more before the end of the year.
She said she's going to give away all of her money. So
absolutely incredible. And if you're ever interested in investing in a small media startup, we might know someone.
We're not a nonprofit, Tommy.
No, but we are.
Sale. We're kind of a nonprofit, but not like a 501c3.
Right. Yeah, we're not a not-for-profit, but it just so happens that anyway, I don't want to be cheugy about this whole thing.
I'm so glad I got to teach you something, Tommy.
Actually, really did.
My kids, of course, I'm raising the next generation, and they think pretty much millennials are cheugy. And I was like, what is going on? So we took to TikTok my son did a little lesson with me of what cheugy means. And I feel like you don't need to hear it from me. You needed to hear it from some experts about how this word cheugy, spelled Cheugy, cheugy, came about.
And we're doing truly international coverage on this, Kelly. Should we start with the Australian descriptor of cheugy?
Yes.
And then we'll take it local?
Yes.
Perfect. This is thanks to The Guardian in Australia.
Guys, it's time to talk about cheugy. Basically, cheugy is the most recent Gen Z word to break into public consciousness, and it refers to anything or anyone that's a bit behind the current trends.
Also, I'm referring to them as Gen Z from now on. Thank you, Guardian Australia.
The term was coined in 2013 by then high school student Gabby Rassin, and it exploded in popularity once TikTok found it. Now, definitionally, what counts as cheugy is constantly changing, but at the moment, it's basically anything from 2016. Girl boss energy, cheugy. Captioning boyfriend pics with love this human, cheugy. Sorry, but the TV show Friends is cheugy. Cheugy. Skinny jeans, side part, cheugy, you get it. Now, people are clearly using this word to make fun of classic millennial traits, but could there be a darker side? Like, now that we're not allowed to just openly mock women, have we all just found a sneakier way to invalidate female interests? Because I've seen way more hate for pumpkin spice lattes than for men who wear Tom Brady jerseys while not being Tom Brady. And wait, isn't the fact that I, as a millennial from a 200-year-old organisation and even talking about cheugy, proof that cheugy is already cheugy?
What?
So we won't get into like the sexist nature of it because there's a ton of articles about that. And it's really just the next generation trying to say like things that you millennials used to think were really cool and hip are not anymore. And it's sort of a message to you all to like not be cheugy. So I'm like,
we all. I love this unholy alliance Gen X has with the Zillennials.
Because I'm raising them. So I am devoid from it. They tell me that I'm not cool in other ways. Trust me.
So you're responsible for this, basically.
I guess so. So I found this guy on TikTok because I just basically searched this ridiculous word cheugy. By the way, it's not just on TikTok. Their Instagram, I followed a couple over the last couple of days, and he takes it local of like what in DC, what iconic landmarks, things that we love, Tommy, are now cheugy.
Yeah, I need to warn you. The places that he calls out might be a little bit rage-inducing if you are a millennial or a Gen Xer. I also just think he's patently wrong on some of his things, but we'll start with him and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Oops. Cheugy. It may have been the place for you when TLC had a show about it, but now there's just a block-long line, and it's not even that good. The cupcakes are half icing. Please don't go. Next up is Le Diplomat. Well, the food is good, and it may have been really...
Hang on.
Yes.
We need to do this again.
So this guy's TikTok famous. He does all things like DC. His name is Jonathan Lurie, and he claims to be a native Washingtonian. So he lists 5 things in the DC area that are just cheugy. As you get
just plain cheugy. I was born and raised in DC, so here are my opinions on these places. Georgetown cupcakes, cheugy. It may have been the place for you when TLC had a show about it, but now there's just a block-long line, and it's not even that good. The cupcakes are half icing. Please don't go.
Ew. sir. You need to understand that Georgetown Cupcake was the cupcake pioneer, and for a while they fought off the aggressions of Sprinkles and others. So it's not for you.
Don't take this personally.
The segment's going to get real long real fast. Here we go.
Next up is Le Diplomat. While the food is good and it may have been really, really cool in 2014, it's now overdone and basic. Blacked and
Hang on. That didn't age well. The president and the vice president just went there. Sir,
I know. Well,
thank you for playing.
That's his point. They're not like hip and cool.
Oh, okay.
Because they're older, not because of. I'm not talking politics. Because they're older.
Okay, got it. All right.
Alley. I remember clearly in 2018 when pictures of this alley were all over my Instagram feed. I've even been there, and it's not all the hype. It's just a bunch of rainbow garage doors.
I'll give him that one.
Well, isn't there a pride element to it though?
Yeah, it's a bunch of like rainbow garage doors. But yes, the rainbow garage doors in Blackton Alley are kind of basic, and they've been photographed. They kind of need a little repaint. I'll give him that one.
Okay.
Cheugy spot is the Union Market Hartwall. It was the last straw for me when I saw a woman taking a picture of her dog here. And last but not least, the Georgetown waterfront. Let's be honest, it's not even that pretty, and it's just a bunch of creepy men in yachts trying to get women. 5 places.
Okay.
Well,
he makes a good point there.
I'm going to let you take the Georgetown waterfront one. Because
I mean, there was a time that I was down there on these nice yachts. But I mean, the Georgetown waterfront, though, is like, it's iconic. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like it still holds its weight. But I don't know if here's the thing. I love Georgetown Cupcake. I love all the things. I love a good brunch at Le Dip, all the things. But this is through the lens of a younger generation. So at some point, you just got to let them have it. Right? Like, that's the way they feel. Let them have their voice. You know what? Makes more room for us. Less hard to get a reservation like Diplomat. Less people in line at Georgetown Cupcake. We still support our places that we love. But now, here's the thing. This young man, got a really good response on this. And he plans to hit other DC areas that are, quote unquote, cheugy. So I want to hear from him, though. What are the things that are non-cheugy?
Yeah, totally. Where are you going? Like the young people's store? I don't even know what that would be.
So now you can expect it. If you hear this word, now you know. You've been warned.
Cheugy. You would become cheugy if you go to Le Diplomat or Georgetown Waterfront.
Yeah. So this is like the OK Boomer thing that was, about a year ago. Just a way to tell people that they're not cool anymore.
Kelly, I actually appreciate your perspective on this. Like, okay, calling everything cheugy. What's not cheugy, smart guy? Give us your guide and give us your thoughts on the cool Gen Z things in DC.
Well, you make a comment on he's responding to comments on his TikTok. Why don't you say a little comment there, Mr. Tommy McFly?
There you go, with my 7 followers on TikTok. Hello, children. I'm an elder millennial here to ask you a question.
Yeah, you might
email me that because I don't understand how to use TikTok. Thanks for playing. I do appreciate Sarah Tracy's comment. His parents' basement. That's not cheugy. That's where he's going.
Yeah. You got to give the younger generation a voice, Tommy. I did it for the millennials. I gave you guys a platform. Now it's time to move over.
Kicking and screaming. I've got 10 years of tape of you kicking and screaming about millennials having voice. So that's not, I wouldn't open that can of worms, Kelly. I just have to go back in the hard drive. And pull
that is true.
Oh my gosh. If you want to catch up on any of our past shows, some of them from like last week might be cheugy. You can decide for yourself, or maybe we're not cheugy. Who knows? On the Real Fun DC app or anywhere you get your podcast, just search Tommy and Kelly. FYI, the Apple Podcast app got an update. It's kind of a dumpster fire. So you have to type in Tommy, the and sign Kelly to find us right now. We're working on it, but it's so funny. Apple hasn't returned my phone call. I keep buzzing them.
Well, so yeah, Apple's dealing with a lot of issues. They might be cheugy. It's now all about Spotify.
Hey, yeah.
I'm just saying, Apple, don't take down our podcast because I said that. We love you.
But also Spotify. Hey, girl. We'll see you next time.